Hi guys, I know you're planning to pursue your masters through the Futurense US pathway at the prestigious Case Western Reserve University. I know you have a lot of questions about what really happens in that university, how does the curriculum work, how are the professors, how is the campus life, and most important, what about placements, what is the placement track record of that university. Well, I have been talking to the experts, the people who are representing that university in varied forums to try and understand what does it mean for you, how does your life look like when you study in that university, what happens during your study and post once you complete your masters, what about the job prospects. If you're interested to know about these things, definitely watch the full video where these guys are talking about from their viewpoint why is this an exciting opportunity for you, and I am asking them questions that you guys have emailed it to us about specific nuances about how can you pursue your masters from your dream university, how can you land admission there, and what happens to you post you finish your masters in your dream US university.
Everyone, welcome to this wonderful opportunity to be in the presence of the top minds from Case Western Reserve University. And today we'll be getting to know about their marquee program when it comes to business analytics and business intelligence. And over to you guys to shed some light on it. Now, before we proceed, could you please introduce yourselves quickly so that our attendees get to know, and then we can get started.
Thank you, Akash. My name is Brock Schroeder, and I serve as the Senior Director of Recruitment here at the Weatherhead School of Management at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland, Ohio. And I am really privileged to have two of my colleagues here with me today. We have our esteemed faculty chair for the Master of Business Analytics and Intelligence program, as well as my colleague who assists in recruitment. I'll ask them to introduce themselves at this time. Professor Kamlesh?
Thanks, Brock. Thanks, Akash. Hi, everybody. I am Kamlesh Mathur. I am Professor and Chair of Operations Department at Case Western. And as Brock mentioned, that I'm also a faculty co-director for our master's program in business analytics. Meredith?
Awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm Meredith Mackney. I'm the Director of Admissions and Recruitment here at Weatherhead. I'm really excited to get to share our program with you and a little bit about who we are and our school, and very excited to talk with you today. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for the amazing introductions. Quite an esteemed panelist we have over here, and let's get started with the presentations.
All right. Well, let's get going. Let's talk about the Weatherhead School of Management at Case Western Reserve University. We're located in Cleveland, Ohio. For those of you that may be a little less familiar with where that would be, we're in the Northeast kind of / Midwest territory of the United States, that little red state you see on your upper left screen. We're located in Cleveland, Ohio, which is right along the northeast side of the state, right on Lake Erie. And it is a beautiful, beautiful city. I absolutely love being here and not just living my life here, but, you know, getting to work in a wonderful facility. Our campus is just about 5 miles east of downtown Cleveland. We're in a neighborhood called University Circle, which is like the uptown neighborhood to downtown and everything in between of Midtown as well. It's very easy to get transportation in and around the city. There's a lot of great restaurants, wonderful cultural, diverse opportunities here. There's museums, there's music. If you like sports, if you like kind of just outdoor activities, Cleveland has it all. It's the great place to be, where you can do literally anything you can imagine without being overwhelmed by the massive population of some of the larger cities in America. So you have all the resources you could possibly need. This is definitely a place a lot of Fortune 500 companies call home as well. And we're very privileged that given our kind of smaller stature, we are able to connect far more intimately with a lot of these companies, which is a great service for you to learn more about your opportunities for jobs and internship placements down the road. University Circle neighborhood in of itself, like I said, it's a cultural epicenter. It has wonderful facilities within walking distance of our building. You have access to 12 different types of museums, literally within a mile radius of us. There's parks and gardens, there's music, there's libraries, places of worship. all of the food. Oh my gosh, I can't even go on about all the wonderful food that's there in a whole range of different, cuisine types and ethnicities. It's wonderful. There's also 2 major hospitals located next to us, university hospitals, and the Cleveland Clinic, which is the second largest ranked hospital globally, #1 in heart care. Those are literally attached to our campus. They're right next door. So we're very privileged to have those facilities as well. And really anything you can imagine, this is a great place to do it. It's very affordable to live in Cleveland. It's significantly less expensive to live here and have all your activities here than, again, some of our larger cities here in America. So this is a great place not only to get a fantastic education through the programs here at Weatherhead, specifically our analytics program, which is great, one of my favorites, but it's a great place to just live, experience life, work, build camaraderies, build that network. And we're excited to show you. The Peter B. Lewis building is the home of Weatherhead School of Management. It's a pretty crazy structured building. It's a design by Frank Gehry, who's a renowned architect, world famous. We're very privileged to have had him design this building that we've been in for the last 20 years, as it is quite a unique feature, not just within, the footprint of the campus of Case Western Reserve University, but quite an iconic place in Cleveland, Ohio. The cool thing about this is that I think the style of this building really resonates and emulates what we want to inspire our students to do and how to think very creatively as well. There are no right angles in this building. As you can see from some of the pictures, the rooms are slightly rounded, the ceilings are curved, the walls are bending. This is a place where you're not going to see square boxes to fit in. And that's kind of our mentality is we are a school of management. We are not a school of business. We think beyond your basic business needs and we add in creativity and diversity and design and innovation. And so I think that this is a building that is going to, emulate that in a way that allows you also to feel the creative energy and think differently and think outside this box mentality. So we're very excited. It's a fun building. We're very excited that there's hopefully a chance for you to come and see it yourself one day. Rankings are also very, very important. We stack up, I think, pretty well in terms of, the quality of the education you get here. Our rankings traditionally, whether they're slightly up, slightly down, generally speaking, we rank very, very well, around not just globally, but also within the United States and, of course, Ohio. We have quite a number of different programs that are individually and collectively ranked at Case Western Reserve University. We are quite diverse as well. We're known for the kind of diversity of our campus, also for the innovation of our campus. We have a number of undergraduate and graduate programs that get ranked, and it's a great facility where you're going to get a lot of hands-on attention from the faculty and the connections that they bring, and it really just adds to the quality of the education that you get here at Weatherhead. I'm going to actually turn this part over to Professor Mathur for a little bit to talk about the program. Is that all right with you, Professor? Oh, you're muted.
Thanks, Meredith. Just to echo Meredith's points about how friendly our campus is and how nice the Cleveland as a city is, I came here as a student long time back. And when I came here, my hair was this long, kind of. And when I finished my PhD, kind of, it's just a kind of testament to how friendly our campus, our school is, and how nice the Cleveland is to live, that I stayed here. And I have been a faculty for 40 plus years, kind of. So whatever Meredith says, that does affect you, kind of. It's a very nice place to live. You have everything within your reach. If you love sports, so we have all the sports teams. If you love culture, you will see on our campus, Cleveland Orchestra and all the 6 or 7 different museums, kind of. So with that, Meredith, yeah, let's briefly talk about our curriculum. So I kind of describe our curriculum as 3 interlinking elements or areas, kind of. If you look at those 3 circles, at the top right is what we call our analytics foundations, which every business program, business analytics program will have. It gives you foundations of analytics. You will kind of learn about statistical foundations, the things like predictive modeling, machine learning, data mining, and visualization kind of, as well as the programming kind of foundations in Python. Python and the R programming are our language of choice. Okay. The way we differ from many other programs is we don't teach analytics in kind of abstract. Okay. We say how these analytics are used in business functions. So the bottom circle is what we call the applied business analytics, which says how these analytical tools are used for business functions. And our focus in this program are two key functions. The operations, I come from the operations department, and my co-director, Professor Singh, comes from the marketing department. So from a function, even though we give you a broad kind of introduction to analytics, and our students kind of go to all different industries, but in terms of curriculum, we kind of especially focus on operations and marketing as our key application areas. So not only we kind of talk about how the analytical tools you learn in our analytics core, they are used for marketing and operation, but there are many other tools which are especially needed for these two functional areas. For example, in operations, we talk about the concept of optimization, concept of simulation kind of. In the marketing side, you'll learn about the text analytics, the social media analytics kind of. So I think that bottom circle, I think, is the way we kind of differentiate ourselves, that we talk about analytics, we get insight from analytics for business functions. And the last element is what we call our business core. It's almost like a mini MBA. Our master's program is a professional program. What that means is that the students who comes to our program, they want to go and work in the industry kind of. And in the industry, you will not be working in isolation. You'll be working with other people, people from finance, people from accounting kind of. So you need to know their language kind of. So our business core gives you a kind of a language of business, an kind of introduction to accounting, finance, marketing, operations, as well as organizational behavior kind of. Okay. So that's our kind of general structure of our program, that we talk about analytics in context to business kind of. Okay. Meredith?
All right. Thank you, Professor. Brock, would you step on in and talk a little bit about the path that they'll see regarding the curriculum?
Absolutely. Thanks, Professor Kamlesh. Thanks, Meredith, for giving those great introductions. And what's really exciting is that we have partnered with Miles Futurense, who has also developed partnerships in India with the Indian Institute of Management in Indore, as well as other institutions in India, to provide a pathway for you to be able to complete some of the credit hours from our first semester of our business analytics program, but to do that in India. This is a way for you to gear up. It's a way for you to honestly save a little bit of money by taking the credit hours through our partner institutions in India. And then from there, transfer those credits into our program, our Master of Business Analytics and Intelligence programs. You can see some acronyms on this slide. Essentially, what you do is you complete 10.5 credit hours at IIM Indore, and then you complete with us over 2 semesters, you complete 25.5 credit hours at the Weatherhead School of Management's Master of Business Analytics and Intelligence program. And that's the program that Professor Kamlesh was just describing for you. And so the next intake that we're aiming for right now is our fall 2024 intake. And so if you're interested in being part of that batch, we would love to have you begin your application now and have you reach out to your Miles Futurense representative to start that application process. Because not only are you pursuing application into our program, but you are also seeking application for admission into the IIM Indore or any other partner that Miles Futurense works with to provide you those 10.5 credit hours that you will earn in India here in the next few months. And so when you come to us here in Cleveland, in the great city of Cleveland, Ohio, you will complete 2 semesters with us, fall 24 and spring 25. And along the way, as you are seeking your education with us over those 2 semesters, we have a program director in the Business Analytics and Intelligence program who will begin to work with you on job placement. And so you can continue to work with Miles Futurense for internship or placement opportunities, whether it's there in India, or if you want to pursue it here in the United States. Because the Business Analytics program is a STEM designated program, you have the ability to be able to extend your optional practical training, or OPT, here in the United States to take full advantage of some work experience up to 3 years here in the United States while remaining on your student or your F1 visa. And so I encourage you to take a look at the pathway that Miles Futurense and the Weatherhead School of Management has set up for you in order to pursue an education as well as STEM OPT work experience here in the United States. We can go to the next slide, Meredith. And I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. I do want to back up real quick. I saw an error and I will take full responsibility. If anyone is looking at the bottom corner of the graphic on the left, it did say average experience 11 years. That's supposed to be 1.1 years. So please don't be afraid. We do not require 11 years of experience to come into the program. Most students have 0 to 2 years of experience at most, but we'll accept quite a range of experience. So don't pay attention to that. And I hope I didn't have to point out something nobody saw in the first place. Let's talk about the application process. So right at the top is the link to apply to our program, applygrad.case.edu/apply. That allows you to start an application with us. It's so important that you start that, even if you just want to get your basic information in, your name, your email address, some basic demographics. That'll allow you to start receiving communications from us to be notified when rounds are coming up or when certain activities are happening. That puts you in a good position to get the right types of communications from us to know what's going on. If there's an info session that you'd like to attend or something there to help you learn a little bit more about the school or campus, we want to make sure you get that information. And the best way is starting that application to get put into our system for more information. When you start your application, the first thing you'll do is start filling out all that demographic information on the online application form. You're going to input a current resume with, your work experience. If you don't have any, perfectly fine. You can have some project experience or some internship experience. That will work just as fine as well. We'll want to see a copy of your transcripts. If you've been at multiple institutions, we'll likely want to see all the transcripts from your institutions where you've received credit for a bachelor's or even a master's program. We do require the GMAT or GRE, but waivers are available. The waivers will generally be based upon your quantitative background and the skill level you have of that background. So while there isn't one specific hard cut-off line, we do want to ensure that you have a quantitatively stable background in order to waive that test. If we feel that you do not meet that criteria, please know when we ask for a GMAT or GRE score, it is not because we don't like you. It is simply we want to ensure that you are very strong quantitatively, and that assures us that you are going to be successful in the program. So it is possible you could waive the exam. That will be done within the application process. Once you submit your materials, we can verify if you qualify or not. So make sure you fill that out. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about when you get to that section. It's very easy to do. You'll also need to add in 2 recommendations. Once you enter in the information of who those 2 recommenders will be, we will actually email them on your behalf, and they have the obligation to complete their portion of the application for you. So please pay attention to how quickly they can do it, but know that we will take care of coordinating with them to get that feedback. There is also an application fee to submit everything. Once everything has been submitted, we will ask you to complete a video essay and vision statement. I apologize, that probably should have been the last thing on that list rather than the second one. This is a new feature for the incoming class this year for the fall 24 intake. We're very excited. We've gotten great reviews and positive feedback about it for so much now. And it's really a way to authentically hear from your own voice. about yourself rather than reading an essay that is hard to interpret the meaning behind it. Now we get to hear what you have to say in your own voice. It is not something we are judging you on. It is not something that has a right or wrong answer. The questions are 100% authentically asking who you are at your core, and there is no wrong answer for that. So just know it is simply us trying to get to know who you are and understand how you say what you say and the emotion behind it. So please know that this is a great way to get to introduce yourself, as you are, as we see you online, and witness that option in the video. As international applicants, we do have a couple additional requirements. We do ask for a proof of language exam that can be done through the TOEFL, the IELTS, or the Duolingo. If you have been to an institution, you got your education where English was the medium of instruction for the entire time you were there, these language exams are completely waivable. We do not require them from somebody who's already mastered the language through their education. And so that would be also something else you indicate within your application and can be verified there as well. We also will ask for a transcript evaluation. This can be done through WES, through ECE, or Spantran. I do want to emphasize that this is such a useful tool for both you as a student and us as reviewers of your application. One, for us, very selfishly, it makes applications easier to read. Transcripts from all over the place look so different, and it is very difficult if we are trying to read a different type of transcript. I don't want to miss something as I'm reviewing your application details. And so having a transcript evaluation is a little bit of a cleaner way to verify the grades and the courses you've seen. Additionally, your GPA, it may be on a very different scale than the 4.0 that we require. So if you have a 5.0 scale, a 10-point scale, 20-point, maybe it's 5,286 points, whatever your scale is, this transcript evaluation will take that and equate it to a 4.0 in a far more apples to apples comparison. I cannot stress enough how important it is that we see how your grades stack up against all the other applications we get that are already on a 4.0 scale. It really helps ensure that it's more favorably compared. Lots of times students, especially from Indian institutions, have different ranks of, first class distinction, second class distinction. That's a little bit different than how we do in the United States. So a transcript evaluation will help make sure that that distinction is identified within the final output. So you are getting a true comparison to a 4.0 scale. And it's a win-win. You get a document that is usable in multiple applications. It also can verify if your 3-year degree is equivalent to a 4-year degree that we require on our end. So it's a great way to verify the length of your program meets our expectations, and the grades, both collectively and individually, are also the strength that we're hoping for. So I do want to emphasize how much I love having a transcript evaluation and really encourage you to add that to your application. Even if you technically qualify for a waiver, it is always a good thing to add on and is definitely very, very helpful. Once all of these materials have been received, we will review you and invite you to complete an interview with us. New also for this year, while we've always had interviews in the past, we are actually able to do live in-person interviews, whether it's virtually or if you happen to want to just come over to campus, that's fine too. But we are always excited to get to interact and talk with you as a student and as a human. We want to hear from you. We want to learn from you. And so we want to know how to help you. And that includes answering your questions and making sure you feel comfortable with going forward with this process. So having a live interview is an amazing feature we can now add on. We're very excited to get to know you more personally through that medium. So I can also talk a little bit about some of the career options and development that we do with our students. One of the things that I think is really amazing about not just the business analytics program, but also collectively at Weatherhead is the strength they put behind the resources available to graduate students at Weatherhead. I do want to emphasize it's just these resources are only available for our graduate students at Weatherhead. Our undergrad students don't get this kind of high touch caliber of attention. We don't work with law students. We don't work with engineering students. We exclusively are working with the business students here at the Weatherhead School of Management. And even more so, the business analytics program has a dedicated director, an individual whose sole job is to help you get connected with internship and job opportunities as needed. So this is not something you ever have to do alone. You do not have to figure this out without any resources. We provide a number of different valuable student resources, from connecting you with industries. Personally, the business analytics has a mentorship program, which I think is phenomenal. It is exclusive to the analytics program. You are paired individually with a mentor from industry, someone who's worked and lived and breathed in analytics for a number of years, someone who has experience. You get to interact with them in multiple stages throughout your entire academics here at the program. So this is a great resource to build that networking, help work with them on your interviews. Maybe you want to kind of go over some concerns that you have about your presentation skills, and they'll certainly help you in and out of the classroom. But beyond that, as a resource within the program director is there to kind of help get you all the connections that you need, and the career resources we have at Weatherhead will take you through step by step all of the things that we know are used in the success of our past students. And this is why we have such great placement for our students. We know that it's not the easiest thing in the world to put yourself out there and apply for jobs. It can be exhausting. It's exhausting for everyone sometimes, but we have a lot of great resources to help make this just hopefully a little bit easier for you. Certainly has come to help a lot of our past students find success. And that's ultimately what we want for you, is for you to be able to not just be able to find success in the short term, but use these resources and continue to develop your internal skills. So that way you can continue to grow and expand as you move on in your professional career. These are skills that are going to be useful throughout your life. And so we want to not just set you up for the future immediately after the program, but for the future beyond the program. And as long as you're taking advantage of these opportunities, you are going to be one of the many students that are going to be successful and go really, really far with the services that we provide. Brock, do you want to help take over for a little bit and talk
Absolutely,
about
yeah.
loans and financial aid?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we have also done is we have committed a dedicated scholarship for students to help them, students from the Miles Futurense Partnership, to help you pursue your education here at the Weatherhead School of Management. And so the combination of a reduced number of credit hours plus a scholarship that we are committing to the Miles Futurense students. And not only that, but we have provided Miles Futurense staff with a special code that you can access when you are completing your application that will waive the $100 application fee. So what we've done is we've provided a number of different opportunities for you to help, again, reduce some barriers, but also assist you financially in securing the education that you need in order to pursue the career that you desire here, and especially those opportunities that are available in the United States. We do have a number of different types of assistantships. Once you are enrolled as a student here at the university, you will see that we have a select number of assistantships, whether it's a graduate assistantship, teaching assistantship. These are available here on campus for currently enrolled students. And so those are opportunities you can pursue as jobs here on campus while you are pursuing your education in the 2 semesters you're with us. Now, we know that a number of students may need to secure loans. And so Case Western Reserve University recognizes really a number of different international student loan providers, but 2 of them that we are in particular in relationship with are Prodigy and then Empower. And so those might be 2 companies that you would like to pursue an education loan in order to help you fund your education and living expenses. We partner with them in order to verify your enrollment with us so that you can easily access that funding that you need to support your education. Thanks, Meredith.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we are kind of at the end of the presentation. I just wanted to have a last minute throw up of that link to apply, the applygrad.case.edu/apply. You can also visit case.edu/weatherhead to learn more about the school. If you still have questions, that QR code on the side should take you right to our website where you can learn more about the school, the services we offer. Of course, the program details and the application can be found through the links there as well. So now it's time to open this up to questions and answers. So Akash, how would you like to proceed with this?
Thanks, Meredith, and thanks, Brock and Dr. Mathur as well for this wonderful insight into what the program is all about and how to go about it. I think you have made most of the points very clear, but I can see one of the questions already posted by one of our attendees that whether they need any work experience or can a fresher graduate who has graduated in 2022 or 23 is eligible to apply, and if so, then what would be the GPA required? So, Brock, if you can shed some
Sure.
light on.
Yeah, so again, no work experience is required, although we know some of you actually may have work experience. That's great. I think that work experience will give you a richer context in order to pursue your education. In many ways, I see students who come in with maybe 1 or 2 years work experience have a bit more focus because you know exactly the type of education you need and what you want to pursue. But no work experience is required for admission. But again, it is beneficial if you want to pursue employment or, again, use that as a great context for your learning. And then the GPA requirements, we don't necessarily have a minimum GPA requirement, but I'll tell you this. The average GPA of our business analytics students, and I'm talking about their undergraduate GPA, because some students also come in with a master's degree, especially if you have a 3-year degree in India, you might add on a master's degree to get that equivalent 4th year to meet our admission requirements. But what we generally see for students is on a 4.0 scale, our average is about 3.2 or 3.3, and that varies year to year. But generally, that's the profile that the average profile that we look for. But there is no minimum, because what's really at the heart of what Meredith showed on that list of all those materials we need for your application is that we'd like to take a holistic view of your academic and professional background that you've achieved. And so we look at individual course grades. We look at how did you do over time? Did you progress? Did your grades get better? We give you opportunities in a video essay as well as in a live interview to be able to share more about your background, why you want to pursue this particular degree, and what do you hope to accomplish later on in life using this education and this journey that you want to pursue. And so we look at a number of different factors. And so GPA is just one, but it's not necessarily the sole requirement.
Wonderfully put, Brock. That is very, very clear. And speaking of profile, so if you could pick an ideal candidate in your mind who is having the perfect profile to get into your reputed university, then what would it look like? What are the different things you would look at or desire in that candidate?
I think it would be best for
Professor
Professor
Kamlesh should answer
Yeah,
that.
you talk about that.
No, I think we can all pitch in, because I think as Brock mentioned, that we look a lot of things, not just your GPA kind of, yeah. So we need some particular academic background, but we look for something more than that. Of course, our program is analytics program. So we expect students to not only have a math background, that they love math, they love analytics kind of. So it's the aptitude as well as the background. And in particular, the minimum math foundation we need is that you have taken a couple of classes in calculus. So the calculus is a must. Yeah. And we also like to see a course in linear algebra, but that's a little bit soft requirement that if you don't have it, then when you come here, we provide a 1 credit hour workshop to bring you up to the speed. But the calculus is must. We do look for in your transcript that you have a background in calculus. Linear algebra is desired, but that's not, if you don't have it, we have kind of a refresher course once you come here. Okay. But as Meredith mentioned that, again, the business analytics, analyzing the data is one thing, but how you communicate, how you so that's very important. And so everything else Meredith mentioned in terms of the video essays, our interviews, we want to see that you can communicate your analysis kind of. Okay, so in terms of the background, I think the ideal background, okay, so somebody kind of have not only they have a good quant background, but they love analytics. And people not only can analyze data, but who have communication skill to communicate them kind of. So for that, again, our work experience is not mandatory, but having some work experience helps. Yeah. Yeah. But we have students who come fresh out of undergraduates and they succeed kind of. So yeah. So
Yep.
Brock and Meredith,
Yeah.
you want to add something?
Yeah.
Let me tell. Oh, go ahead, Meredith. I want to tell a
I-
story, but I'll let you go, Meredith. Go ahead.
All right. I was going to say, I want to call out for everyone who's hearing that Professor Mathur never once mentioned a number associated with anything statistically that we would traditionally look for, like a specific GPA or a specific test score. Truly, this is a holistic approach, because while your grades and your test scores do imply certain levels of, you know, your caliber of language, your speaking ability, your sense of mastering certain subjects, like enjoying math. If you've taken a number of math courses versus maybe just one, we might interpret that you are capable of taking multiple classes versus maybe you don't enjoy math as much. These are different things that kind of help us paint a picture of you. And so it's not about showing what you think we want to know. It's about being authentic and showing us who you truly are, because that authentic person is going to have the best time in the program. It's the person that tries to pretend like they really like math when really they don't. That's gonna hurt you. And we don't ever want someone to feel like they have to be someone they're not. We want you to be authentic. And so kind of, it's not about an exact grade or an exact test score. It's about what are the stories that we learn from these application details. And so I think Kamlesh gave a really good example of kind of the type of student we want, someone who is mastering that language of conversation and not just understanding how to process, but how to interpret and have that conversation beyond interpreting the numbers. So just know that it's a lot of things we look at, and sometimes we don't know what we see is someone we like until we assess you. So I always encourage everyone to apply regardless, because you never know even if you doubt that this is your type of student that we might like, you might be wrong. We might think that you're fantastic. And so I always encourage students to just give it a shot.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And you know, one of the things, Akash, that I like to do is tell stories of the students who've succeeded in our programs. And I'll give you two brief stories of Ujwal and Bhargav. And so Ujwal, one of the things that impressed me early on with him was that his application materials were impeccable. He really paid attention to the details. His essay, he made sure that he presented himself authentically, as Meredith said. But more importantly, he really paid attention to the details. At the time, he also wrote an essay. And so, you know, he made sure capitalization, punctuation, grammar use, that the first impression that were very important for him. And so he dressed smart every time I saw him. He always presented himself with impeccable detail in written and verbal responses. And Ujwal also realized that he was preparing himself for who he wanted to be here in the United States. And so not only did he really invest in his education, and he excelled in every class he was in, he was very earnest, but he also was earnest about having some fun and experiencing the American life. I remember he came to me, he said, "Brock, I want to play American football. How do I do that?" And I said, "Are you sure you want to play American football? They tackle each other." He goes, "Yes, I want to try it." I pointed him over to our athletics center, and they had a intramural football team, American football team. And he said, "Okay, I'm going to join that." He did it, and he absolutely loved it. You know, it was something he wanted to experience. So not only did he excel in the classroom and was earnest and dedicated toward his studies, but he was also earnest and dedicated toward experiencing this short time period he had here in Cleveland, Ohio. He came to me one day and he says, Brock, I want to go see this Amish community. So we drove about an hour south of Cleveland, and I took him out to the Amish community, and he absolutely loved just taking in everything that America and here in Cleveland had to offer. But the other student that really impressed me is Bhargav. Bhargav is currently, he's graduating from our analytics program this semester. And Bhargav, I remember him distinctly because he became an assistant, a department assistant, working with Professor Kamlesh and our faculty there. And I remember Professor Kamlesh came to me and he said, you know, we need to do some data analytics on our students. And we also want to use that data to be able to connect with our students. And so he said, you know, work with Bhargav. And so I did. Bhargav and I did a little project together. And he stepped outside of what was just, again, his using his knowledge from his classroom experience, but using it in a very different context in order to explore, learn, and understand and hone his skills. And Bhargav is a very impressive young man who has secured employment and is doing very well because he used his education but stepped beyond the classroom experience and really invested in every aspect of his educational experience here at the Weatherhead School of Management, and specifically in the Master of Business Analytics and Intelligence program.
That's wonderful, Brock. Actually, you inadvertently answered one of my follow-up questions, which was to share a few success stories, but I think you have done it more than wonderfully. And it's great to know about these couple of candidates that will be inspiring for the people who are joining us today. So people who go above and beyond the requirements of the course from an academic point of view are sure to excel. I'm definite
I think
about it.
that's a good statement you made about just life in general, right? You know,
Yep.
be prepared, show up, and be on time. Here in the United States, we wear our watches. We're very attuned to time. And so time, when we say something begins at 9 a.m., class begins at 9 a.m. So be ready, you know, be there a couple minutes early and be prepared and be ready. But it's showing up and then doing your best when you do show up.
Yeah, as Brock mentioned that, yes, ours is a professional program. So everything Brock mentioned, it goes beyond your academic background, kind of. That, yes, we required math, but again, we don't use math in an abstract way. Okay? So we are looking for calculus and linear algebra to see you kind of love analytics, kind of. Not that all our courses use abstract math. We are creating professionals. We are not creating we are not a stepping stone for a PhD program. Some of our students do continue for PhD, but that's not what our focus is. Our focus is we are creating professionals, kind of. So everything Brock mentions are equally important, kind of.
Right. And I remember, Dr. Mathur, you mentioned someone who loves numbers is surely to enjoy this program.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So now switching gears from academics into co-curriculars. So Brock, you mentioned the American Football Club. So any other highlight clubs that you have or interesting activities that are
Sure.
partake in?
Lots.
So
Yeah.
Akash, I don't know if you've ever heard of pickleball. Have you heard of pickleball? Do you know what that is? It's an
Seen it in
American
movies.
phenomenon right now. It's kind of a combination of table tennis or ping pong, but it's on a tennis court, but only part of the tennis court. So it's fascinating. But I actually joined a pickleball club myself, and there were a bunch of students around. And then, right after pickleball, some of the students were coming over. They were like, "Can you help us set up our nets for badminton?" I said, "Sure." So we set up badminton nets, and I played around with them. So we have all sorts of clubs that students can get involved in, graduate students as well as undergrad. I think the badminton club, I saw just as many undergrad as I saw grad students there. And that's not just from Weatherhead. These were students in engineering, computer science. I mean, they were from all sorts of graduate programs and undergrad programs we have here at Case Western. We have a wonderful portal. Once you're admitted as a student, we're going to give you a Case Western Reserve email address or network ID and email address, and you're going to use that. It's a powerful, powerful access point to the resources that the university provides. One of them is about the community here at Case Western. And it's all these different groups and activities and things you can do and lectures you can attend. And I mean, I went over to a lecture. We had a special speaker. She was an individual who was part of the Supreme Court system, and she presented. We had another speaker who was here who was a singer. And so you can go access that. So there's all sorts of different kinds of activities you can get involved in. But beyond that too, we have a great resource. You can use your Case Western Reserve network ID to access our housing resources. We have lots of off-campus housing that graduate students can access that's easily within distance, walking distance, or a short shuttle ride, free shuttle to campus, but it's very, very close to campus. And so again, with your Case network ID, you can access that and see all those resources.
And if you come across something that you don't, if you don't come across something that you want to do, we are very, very strongly supportive of students that want to start their own initiatives and start their own clubs. So if, for example, a couple of years, I had a student that was very interested in cars and just obsessed with all these hot rods and fast cars. And so he created the CWRU car club. And he had that going for the couple of years he was in the program, and he was just so excited he was able to have the resources to do that. So if there's something that isn't here that you want to be, we will encourage you to explore it. And it usually comes with some support from our student experience team, who is here to dedicate themselves to the students here at Weatherhead to give you what you need and ask, you know, how best you can feel comfortable beyond the academics. So we've got great resources for everyone.
Yeah, just to echo Meredith's points, that school as well as university support extracurricular activities. As Meredith says, if 5 or 10 students get together and want to start something, the university supports it. Just to give you an example, my daughter went to Case, and she still is very avid horseback rider. So she and 5 of her friends started riding club. So no, the riding club is not a regular club at Case. So if you have a small interest group, school supports it, and university supports it.
You know, Akash, I think these are some great examples that there's something you gain as an individual when you take advantage of these enriching opportunities that are available to us. And there's any number of them. I mean, it's countless. Meredith said, if you're not having fun and not busy here in Cleveland, then you're not doing it right, because there's stuff going on everywhere. And so, but here's where I think it's important, Akash. When students interview for a job, employers, they've got your resume. You've got a degree from Case Western Reserve University, which is highly regarded and well recognized, and they know you're proficient in business analytics. We know that because you have a Case Western Reserve University Weatherhead School of Management degree. We know you know what you're doing. But tell us what motivates you. Tell us what inspires you. Tell us about problems that you've solved. Tell us about something that you succeeded in. Tell us about something you failed in, and what did you learn from that? And that's what I think, if you get yourself outside of the classroom, if you get yourself outside of your apartment and explore and take advantage of these things. Now, we want you to study. We want you to get good grades, right? So that's first priority. But if you put just as much effort into playing hard as you do in studying hard, what that does is it enriches your life and gives you the ability to be able to speak to the type of problem solvers and thinkers and creative individuals that this world needs. And what we here in the United States celebrate, we celebrate that creativity and ingenuity. And India has that same spirit, right? That same drive. And so that's why I feel like that these are great opportunities, great lessons for you to learn in order to know how to succeed, not just here at Case Western, but to succeed in life, how to make a life.
Wonderfully put, Brock. That's a lovely statement. And you also, again, answered one of my follow-up questions regarding housing and accommodations. So I think that's killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
We do. You know, Akash, right next door to me, I have 2 students, one in our MBA program and one in our supply chain management program. They live in an apartment right next door to me, and we take a shuttle to work every day. It's a free shuttle that right here at the end of our street. And so we grab our lunch bags and our book bags and jump on the shuttle and go to Weatherhead every day. So it's real easy. The accommodations in the apartments in the area are very accessible and affordable. So yeah.
And I will always send out housing information during onboarding in the spring and early summer months. So students will start learning where the neighborhoods are and have good resources to connect with landlords and search for apartments.
Oh, that's great. So that should be pretty helpful. I mean, who can deny such assistance? And speaking of housing and accommodation, we can't not talk about the city, Cleveland. So would you mind sharing a few, through your experience over the years, what are some interesting things to do around the city where they can have fun or just explore their time on the weekends?
Absolutely. I am a Cleveland native, true and true, and I love bragging about my city. And Brock is right. I always say if you're ever in Cleveland and you're bored, you're doing it wrong. There is always something going on in Cleveland. Cleveland has had such a renaissance over the last decade or two. It's so dramatically different from when I was younger, but it's so much better and it's so much more connected and there's so many resources. Anything you could ever want to do, we've got it here. We've got the second best nationally ranked art museum right across the street, and it's 100% free, our Cleveland Art Museum of Art. We have home of Severance Hall is home of our Cleveland Orchestra. That is also a very high ranked, I think top 5 ranked orchestra in the nation as well. We have Playhouse Square, which is downtown Cleveland. That is the second largest theater district outside of Broadway, New York. We have 3 major sports teams, baseball, football, and basketball, which is always popular, plus a bunch of minor league sports and some, water sports as well. The Cleveland Marathon every year and all these different outdoor activities. There's tons of food here, any kind of ethnicity you can think of. We have cuisine everywhere. We have an Asian district in our Midtown area, halfway between downtown and uptown. And that's where a lot of the great supermarkets of different Asian cultures are. And oh my gosh, the food is so good. And there's so much all across the city. If you want to try craft brewery, different craft beers, there's lots of breweries in the Cleveland area. If you like to go gambling, we've got a casino. We've got our racetrack as well.
Don't tell them that.
Oh, sorry.
Use your analytical skills when you're playing the poker game.
Forget I said. But we have, if you want to be outdoors, if you want to be indoors, if you want to game, if you're kind of a gaming nerd like I am and you love board games or video games, we've got so many different stores and facilities to, or clubs on campus, off campus that you can join. Every summer across the street from us, we're in a very cultural epicenter. And so we have the Botanical Gardens, the Art Museum, the Historical Museum, all these museums that circle this Wade Circle area, this Wade Oval. And every summer we have Wade Oval Wednesday, where every Wednesday is an outdoor parade or it's an outdoor party of food trucks and live music, and there's vendors, and it's across the street. So every day when I get off at 5 o'clock, I hear all this music and it's just so lively and it's exciting, and they party into the night. I cannot say enough. There's always something for everyone, no matter what your likes are, and you're going to be able to find someone else that enjoys those likes too. So it's a great way to meet new people, build that network that's going to be so critical as you get older and expand into your professional life. You'll find a lot of overlapping likes and connective tissues here that'll help you get connected with new people and explore new ideas. There's always something going on in Cleveland, and I absolutely love having the privilege to work and live here because it's just an exciting place to be. And I'm not swallowed whole by giant city life. So, everything I want is here I can stand out on my own, but I can be my own person too.
And Akash, if you get a taste for good home cooking from India, we also have some really good Indian restaurants. So I love them. So when I want my samosa or, a little masala, I know exactly where to go.
See, now I want some chicken tikka masala. Thanks, Brock.
Yeah.
And it's breakfast time. It's not lunchtime. And now I'm thinking of that.
Well, both of you made me want to hop on a plane and go to Cleveland right away.
Come on,
Come on
Akash,
over.
anytime.
We'll be happy to have you.
Thank you. So, quickly wanted to also know, maybe from Dr. Mathur, as you had mentioned, regarding the projects, the kind of practical they will be doing as a part of this course, and also as an add-on question to this, what are the sort of internship or co-op opportunities that they can leverage, maybe during the program or towards the end of the program?
Yeah, so in terms of the projects, so many of our courses kind of work with the kind of people from industry who bring their data and they work on their projects kind of. So we do that a lot in an informal way in almost all of our classes, you know. So there's a lot of interaction with industry on kind of real data, not just cooked up data, you know. In terms of internship and jobs, as Meredith mentioned, that we have Mike Michaud, who is a dedicated program director for business analytics. And in fact, he contacts students even before they come here. On day one, they want to make sure they have their resume ready, because these days, both for internship as well as jobs, companies starts very early, you know. So people who are for next summer, companies already have selected their students way back in September or October kind of, yeah. So the placement is very important for us, and Mike does a very good job. And so people will be kind of surprised that why are you asking me for my resume? I'm not here, I'm not in the Cleveland yet kind of. But he starts early kind of, yeah. And so Mike has very good network. Meredith mentioned the mentorship program. So we have about 30 or 40 active mentors. And as soon as the students come here, they are assigned a mentor to kind of just get more like a professional development kind of, yeah. So the mentors helps in terms of internships. Okay. So there's a lot of help. Okay. Eventually, it will depends on you to get the right internship and a job, but there's a lot of help everywhere, kind of. Yeah.
You know, Akash, one of the things too that when it comes to say internship or job placement, you know, there's a lot of opportunities. We've talked about it here in Cleveland, Ohio. You know, Cleveland has a rich manufacturing history, and so you may get employment at, say, Goodyear Tire, which was a major manufacturer of tires for the automotive industry. But we also have a strong and developed financial services industry. And so banking or insurance, you know, I have some major companies here in Cleveland, but not just here in Cleveland. I remember one student, Jagadesh, she got an internship all the way out in San Diego. And so for about 3 months, he worked out in San Diego as a logistical analyst for a company out there. Which was a great experience for him. He got to see a different part of the United States and gain that work experience. So we're not trying to just help students find jobs here in Cleveland, although we love Cleveland and we're happy to have you stay here. We'd love to see you more often. But, you know, students are getting internships and jobs all over the United States.
So opportunities are ample, I believe. And yeah, it shouldn't be a worry for any of the participants present over here. Yeah. And one of the questions, although I do know this is a full-time program, but some of the students, they want to know if they can pursue some part-time opportunities to make some money on the side.
So because a student, oh, go ahead, Meredith.
I was gonna say there are some restrictions for international students while they are in the program. First and foremost, this is a law visa requirement that a student is able to work while they're in the program, but only on campus and at a maximum of 20 hours a week while taking courses. So that can raise to 40 hours a week in the off season. So like winter break, they could go up a little bit, summer break, of course, but students are slightly restricted to on-campus jobs for the first 2 semesters. Once that time passes, they are allowed to expand their search off campus and work, again, 20 hours while they're in classes or 40 hours at a week maximum if they are outside of classes. So there are some restrictions regarding international students, but certainly no on-campus employment is plentiful. We are not assigning any kind of employment or assistantships during the admission or application process. So students will not be able to kind of pick or choose anything during the kind of pre-enrollment period. Once a student is enrolled here and begins the program, which starts on the last Monday of August, that's the earliest that a student can start technically working on campus. Once they receive some information about how to become a student, they receive a network ID, a case email address, they'll start getting access to the databases we have internally that allow students to seek these opportunities, so they can prepare a little bit in advance to finding an assistantship or an on-campus position, but it wouldn't be something they could start until they actually physically are here beginning the program. And that's a great way that they can find some experience building for their resume in developing key skills in leadership, teamwork, and those kind of expanded skill sets while they're in the program.
Yeah, so I think you did mention one example of someone being a department assistant, so that can add a valuable experience to their resumes.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and not just department assistant jobs are available here at Weatherhead, but I know recently our School of Medicine reached out to me and about trying to get an assistant to help them with some projects over there in the School of Medicine. So, there are different opportunities across the university.
Yep. There's no restrictions. They're welcome as long as it's on campus, within their first 2 semesters. They can go anywhere across campus for a graduate assistantship, a research assistantship, or even TA a class if they find a professor elsewhere. But there are lots of opportunities for these students, especially analytics, like Brock said, the School of Med reaching out. That's not uncommon, but definitely know there's lots of options everywhere, and students will have resources to find them.
That goes on to also show the diverse application of analytics in different domains as well.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, healthcare is another huge factor here. So it's no shock that our School of Med, would seek some assistance from our own students. It's a huge industry. As I've mentioned, there's the Cleveland Clinic and University Hospitals are just 2 of the many, many hospitals in this territory. So yes, healthcare is another major industry in the Cleveland area that students can get to use their analytical skills in.
Wonderful. So any parting words or words of advice for our candidates so that they can successfully land up in this wonderful university in Cleveland?
Apply early.
Yeah. I
was gonna say, bring some candy from home over. We want to try some treats. I'm kidding. Definitely apply early. Be authentic. That is my biggest number one thing. Is when you're in the application process, please, please, please do your own soul searching for who you are. It is not helpful for you to tell us who you think we want you to be. I want you to be actually who you are. And that is the best way. I get sometimes you're nervous about things. Remember, we're humans too. We are all here to support you. We're all here to help you throughout this journey. So if you are nervous, it's okay. I want to make sure you feel comfortable and feel very confident about this process. We'll be honest with you. And so be honest with yourself too, and allow yourself to learn more about what you want and share what that is with us, and allow us to make the best decision fit for both of us, because this is only capable if we're honest with you, we want you to be honest with us. And so authenticity is the biggest piece of advice I think I can share.
Yeah, I think Meredith has, so be authentic. Don't use ChatGPT to prepare your application.
We can tell. We know, by the way.
We have tools. Remember, we're an analytics program. We have our tools.
I would also
Akash,
say,
I think
I would say one other thing. Sorry, Brock. One other thing, once you're here, and Brock mentioned a lot of this too, get out there, enjoy, explore, get lost in all of these new ideas and concepts, and embrace the different diverseness that, we try to embrace here at, not just Case, but in the Cleveland area. The more you kind of go beyond the academics and kind of learn what's around you, you're going to discover new things you never knew were possible, or you're going to bring something to the table for someone else to benefit from. So just open your mind to it. It's awesome.
Yeah, and I think you learn as much as outside the classroom as inside the classroom.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so Akash, have students contact Miles Futurense as soon as possible. The journey begins there in India. And so work very hard. And those classes that you're taking to transfer into our program, those are just as important to us as the credits that you earn
Yep.
here with us. And so we have built this partnership because we believe it is a successful pathway for students. And we are seeing evidence of that because we have a similar type of arrangement with Miles for another program here at Weatherhead, and we've seen great success with it. So we believe in this program. We're seeing evidence that is very successful. Now's the time to take advantage of it. We are just launching this program. Our first batch of students from this partnership arrive in January. We're so excited and can't wait for them to get here. And so join now, be on the front end of this where there's energy, there's a lot of commitment and a lot of effort being put into building something that is proving to be very successful for students. So join now, contact Miles Futurense and let us know how we can help you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brock, Kamlesh, and Meredith. So just to sum it up, apply early, be authentic, be honest, and bring some candies.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for this
We're
time.
not about being bribed with treats.
Doesn't hurt to try once.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you, everyone, for your wonderful time
Thank
and
you.
for spending your valuable insights on our candidates. And I'm sure it will benefit them. Can't wait for them to be in the wonderful campus with you guys in person and get to learn from you even more. Thank you and have a
Absolutely.
good day, Ed.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I hope this was helpful, guys. I tried my very best to ask all the questions I thought were relevant to you. But if you still have doubts, if you still think you are very interested in building a career in the US, pursuing your master's from a top US university, have more doubts, definitely reach out to us. Definitely book a one-on-one counseling, free counseling with our counselors, our in-house experts, to try and understand what are your chances, what are your prospects of doing the master's from a top US university using the Futurense US pathway and build a high earning career in the US. See you.